Hello lovelies. Welcome to Emma's Tales. Please subscribe and leave a like for us. It means the world to us. Also, share this video with your loved ones and turn on post notifications so you don't miss future videos from us. Thank you. As you do so, sit back and relax as we dive into this story. I told her it was all an elaborate ploy to get revenge for cheating on me in high school, and then I watched her face crack like glass. No screaming. No slap. No begging. Just silence. The kind of silence that makes the air thick, like you're both standing in a vacuum where time freezes. Her hands didn't move. Her eyes didn't blink. She just sat there in the passenger seat of my car, lips parted slightly, staring straight ahead. The headlights of the car behind us washed over her face in the rearview mirror, and for a split second, she looked like a ghost. Hollow. Gutted. Like the life had been pulled straight out of her chest through her ribs. She looked so small then. So breakable. And I had broken her. I didn't even say it like I meant it. That's the part that haunts me. It wasn't theatrical. There was no satisfaction in it. No revenge-fueled climax like you see in movies. It just came out of my mouth. Cold and sharp. Like I wanted to cut the air between us. Like I wanted to push her off a ledge she'd been tiptoeing on for weeks. I still don't know if I meant it. I never cared about you, I added. This, whatever this was, it was just a long-ass payback for what you did back then. You really thought I wanted you after that? Come on. She didn't even turn to look at me. Just nodded. Once. Like someone trying to pretend they're okay even though their lungs are filling with water. Like the pain hadn't hit her yet, but it was coming. And then I watched the tears form. One by one. No dramatic sob. No loud cries. Just quiet, relentless tears, sliding down her cheeks like her body had given up trying to hold them back. The worst part. I wanted to take it back almost instantly. Not because I didn't mean it, but because she didn't deserve to hear it like that. Not then. Not like that. If I could hit rewind on just one sentence I've said in my entire life, it would be that one. She didn't say a single word the rest of the ride. Just sat there, curled into herself, wiping her cheeks slowly every few minutes like she was trying to be polite about her pain. When we pulled up outside our mutual friend's place, she opened the door and stepped out without looking back. Just walked up the short gravel path to the porch, shoulders hunched like the world was too heavy to stand under. And then she was gone. I didn't pull away immediately. I sat there, hands on the wheel, engine running, staring at her silhouette through the glass door. I don't know what I was waiting for. A reaction? A scream? For her to come back and curse me out? Call me a monster? Something. Nothing. I drove away, stomach in knots. Chest tight. And this awful sour taste in my mouth that wasn't quite guilt and wasn't quite relief. Something in between. Something worse. Like the ash after you burn something you shouldn't have touched in the first place. And here's the thing. I didn't plan to hurt her again. That's the truth no one knows. Not her. Not my friends. Not even me, for a while. I didn't start this with revenge in mind. I didn't sit there years later, plotting my moment like some petty supervillain waiting to strike. If anything, I genuinely thought I could give it another try. That maybe we could be better this time. That maybe I'd changed enough. That she had too. But something happened. A shift. A moment where I realized we weren't who we used to be, but she still made me feel everything I hated about myself. The old habits. The guilt. The insecurities. The questions I didn't want to answer. All of it came flooding back, and I realized I wasn't trying to rekindle something. I was trying to bury it. Only I didn't know how to do that kindly. So instead, I dropped a grenade on her heart and drove away from the ashes. And yeah, I know what you're thinking. That's brutal. That's cruel. She deserved honesty at the very least. You're right. But before you decide who I am, the villain, the coward, the liar, let me take you back. Let me show you how we got there. Let me show you what I was carrying, And maybe you'll understand why it ended the way it did. Let's rewind. Back to high school. Back to a version of me that didn't know how to handle love, or trust, or jealousy. Back to the girl who once told me I was her world, even while handing pieces of it to someone else behind my back. Back to a relationship that never should have lasted as long as it did, but did anyway, because sometimes when you're young, love and obsession were the same perfume. She was beautiful. Still is, I'm sure. The kind of girl people stopped and looked at twice. Not because she was flashy or loud, she wasn't. She was soft-spoken, smart, and carried herself like she knew she had nothing to prove. And maybe that's what made me feel so small around her. Like I had to grip her tight just to keep her from slipping through my fingers. Like if I didn't hold her down, someone else would lift her up and I'd be left with nothing but the echo of her laugh in my ears. So I held on too tight. I hated every guy she talked to. Every smile she gave that wasn't for me. Every time her phone buzzed at night. And I hated most of all how she never made me feel like I didn't have a reason to worry. There was this one guy, the photographer. Well known. Older. Slick. The kind of guy who said things with his eyes before he opened his mouth. He started shooting her early into her modeling thing. And I hated him the moment I saw his name in her texts. At first, it was harmless. Professional. But then professional turned into, hey baby, and daddy, and ly. I confronted her. She said I was paranoid. Said I didn't trust her. Said it was all a joke. Said she didn't mean it. And God help me, I believed her. Not because I was dumb, but because I wanted to be wrong. I wanted the story in my head, the one where she was loyal, misunderstood, unfairly accused, to be true. Because if it wasn't, then I had wasted everything on someone who saw me as disposable. Spoiler, I had wasted everything. But I didn't leave. Not then. Not the second time either. It took 3 betrayals before I walked away. And even then, it didn't feel like a clean break. It felt like I left a part of myself behind with her. The part that still wanted to believe we were meant to survive it. We didn't. She made her thing with the photographer official not even a month later. Social media posts. Heart emojis. The whole 9 yards. Like we'd never happened. I hated her for a long time after that. Hated her for how easily she moved on. Hated myself for how long it took me to do the same. But years passed. And I grew up. I got better. Or at least I thought I did. Until we saw each other again. Until she was hurting. Until I told myself I could be the bigger person. That I could be there for her without dragging the past into the room. I told myself I could handle it. And for a while I did. Until I didn't. Until the old wounds reopened. Until her questions started to sound like demands. Until my silence turned into bitterness. Until I heard myself say the one thing I swore I never would. It was all an elaborate ploy to get revenge for what you did. And maybe, in that moment, it became true. Maybe I really did just want to make her feel what I felt. Maybe I wanted her to know what it's like to trust someone again and watch it all fall apart in one breath. I don't know. But I do know this. I didn't plan to hurt her again. But I did. And now, here we are. I wasn't a good boyfriend in high school. That's the first thing I need to say, and I need to say it clearly. I wasn't emotionally mature. I didn't know how to handle love. I mistook control for care, and insecurity for intuition. And I masked it all under this warped idea that if I felt threatened, it must have meant something was wrong. It didn't. Sometimes it just meant I was scared. She was the kind of girl who made people pay attention. Not loud or flashy, just effortlessly magnetic. People noticed her when she walked into a room. Girls wanted to be her friend. Guys wanted to make her laugh. Teachers gave her too many chances. I could have been proud of that. I should have been. Instead, I treated it like a threat. Like every time someone else saw her, it meant I was about to lose her. And yeah, that's where it started. The jealousy. It was subtle at first. I'd flinch a little when she laughed too hard at someone else's joke. I'd get quiet when she mentioned a new guy in her class. I'd change the topic if she started talking about her modeling interests. I'd say things like, I just don't like the vibe he gives off. Or, you know how guys are, right? Like I was being protective. Like I was looking out for her. I wasn't. I was controlling. Not in the screaming, door-slamming way. I didn't yell or forbid or threaten. I just nudged. A slow, quiet erosion of her confidence in her own choices. A tone of voice here. A passive-aggressive silence there. If I could plant just enough doubt, maybe I could keep her in the places I felt safe. So when she told me she was getting more serious about modeling, real shoots with a real photographer, I felt something sink in my chest like a weight. You're gonna be doing this, like, professionally? I asked. She smiled. She was excited. I hated that I couldn't match it. Yeah. I mean, it's just starting out. But he's worked with some people around here. It's not sketchy or anything. I nodded. Right. Cool. Sounds cool. But it didn't. It didn't sound cool at all. It sounded like a fast pass to her meeting people who looked better than me, had more money than me, had more to offer than I did. And the guy she was shooting with? He was older. Not creepy old, but old enough to drive a Benz and have professional lighting equipment and that overly confident smile that made me want to punch drywall. Still, I tried to be supportive. Or at least, I tried to pretend I was. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Just don't let him talk to you like you're more than a model, I said one day. She laughed. You're being dramatic. Maybe, I shrugged. But I've seen guys like that. They're not subtle. And here's the worst part. I knew I was being manipulative, even then. I knew I was setting little traps. I didn't want to be controlling. But I was. Because being the guy who says, I trust you, felt too risky when what I really wanted to say was, please don't leave me for someone better. That brings me to the first incident. I don't even remember what made me go through her phone that day. Probably something dumb. She left it on my bed while she was in the shower, and it buzzed. Just once. Just enough to make me curious. I opened it. Messages. At first, I was just scrolling. Harmless. Stupid. And then I saw the name. The photographer. I tapped the thread. Thanks again, baby. You were amazing today. No, you were amazing, Daddy smirking face, can't wait to see how the photos turned out. My heart didn't just drop. It spun. I stared at the screen like it was a bad dream. There was nothing too explicit, no confessions of love, no nudes, but it was the way they talked. Flirty. Familiar. Like this wasn't the first time. She came back into the room and saw me holding her phone. Her smile died instantly. What are you doing? I didn't even know how to answer. I held the screen up like it was a weapon. What is this? She froze. Walked closer. Took the phone. Scrolled through the same texts. Seriously, she said. You're being ridiculous. Daddy and baby is ridiculous? Explain that to me. She rolled her eyes. It's just how we joke. That's literally it. I call my best friend bitch all the time. Does that mean I hate her? I should have walked away then. I should have trusted what I saw and trusted how it made me feel. But instead, I believed her. Or I convinced myself I did. Because the truth was, I didn't want to lose her. I'd rather gaslight myself than confront the possibility that she was doing the exact thing I feared. I told myself, maybe she's telling the truth. Maybe I'm overreacting. Maybe it's me again, being jealous, toxic, controlling. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. So I stayed. Like a dumbass. And it was fine for a while. A few weeks, maybe. We didn't talk about it. We didn't talk about much, really. We just coasted. Until the second incident. Another shoot. Another day where she came home smiling and I forced myself not to ask too many questions. And then, another text. This time I didn't snoop. This time she left her phone on the desk while she went to grab something from the kitchen, and it lit up with a notification. It was just a preview, one sentence. I love you so much. I don't know what I'd do without you. I froze. Picked up the phone. Opened the full conversation. It wasn't one message. It was dozens. Long, drawn-out conversations with him. And every one of them ended the same way. I'll why more. No, I'll why most. I read through them, numb. Like my brain was registering the words but refusing to translate the meaning. Like if I didn't feel it, maybe it wouldn't be real. She walked back into the room and saw my face. Oh my God. I swear. I cut her off. If you tell me this is just a joke again, I'm walking out that door and never coming back. She paused. Swallowed. It's not like that. Then what is it like? It's just complicated. I didn't know what that meant. I didn't want to know. I was too exhausted to keep fighting for clarity in a relationship that was built on fog. But still, I stayed. Yeah, I stayed. Because again, I convinced myself that maybe she was just confused. Maybe she liked the attention. Maybe I wasn't being enough. Maybe. God, I hated myself for it. Then came the third strike. The final one. We were out on a date. Some mid-level pizza spot where the cheese tasted like cardboard but the booths had mood lighting, and we were trying to act like we were normal. Like we hadn't been gut-punching each other emotionally for months. And then, out of nowhere, she says, "Can I go through your phone?" I blinked. What? I don't know. Just curious. I think it'd be fun. I laughed. Sure. As long as I can go through yours after. Her face dropped. No, wait. Never mind. It's dumb. And that was all it took. All the alarms I'd been silencing for months went off at once. Why not? I just said it's dumb. No, I said. You said you wanted to go through mine. I said fine. But the second I say I want to go through yours, you backpedal? Come on. She got defensive. The waitress showed up with our drinks right then, and we both sat in silence while she placed them gently between us like she was defusing a bomb. I didn't let it go. On the way home, I asked again. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. She stayed silent, clutching her phone like it was a lifeline. So I waited until she fell asleep on my bed. I picked it up. My hands weren't even shaking anymore. I already knew what I'd find. But this time it wasn't texts with him. It was a thread between her and his girlfriend. The real girlfriend. The actual one. The one I didn't even know existed until that moment. The messages were brutal. What the hell are you doing in his house? You're disgusting. You think he doesn't tell me everything. And there she was, my girlfriend, replying with LOL, and you're crazy, and laughing emojis. I sat there, reading, rereading, numb. There was nothing to question anymore. No space left to lie to myself. She wasn't confused. She wasn't innocent. She was just cheating. And lying. And making me look stupid while doing it. So I woke her up. Calmly. We're done. She blinked. What? I said we're done. For real this time. She tried to talk. I didn't let her. I walked her out of my room, out of my house, and out of my life. 3 weeks later, they went public. Instagram photo. His arms around her waist. Caption. She makes me feel alive. She cheated. And I left. That should have been the end. It had been a few years. Not decades, but long enough to feel like I had lived an entirely different life in the space between then and now. I was older. A little quieter. I'd grown into my skin, learned how to carry myself better. My world had widened and calmed. No more fights about emojis. No more pacing in my room at night, rereading messages, trying to decode lies written in lowercase letters. I'd been single for a while by then, not out of bitterness but by choice. I wasn't looking for anything. I wasn't not looking either. I was just, okay. For the first time in years, I actually liked being alone. I had a better relationship with my family. I picked up old hobbies I'd shelved in my early 20s. I learned how to sleep without checking someone else's last seen status. That kind of peace, the slow, quiet kind, feels like a miracle after you've drowned in chaos for long enough. So when our mutual friend called me out of the blue, I didn't expect the conversation to end the way it did. "She's not doing great," he said. I didn't ask who she was. I knew. She and the photographer broke up a while back. I think it messed her up more than she lets on. There was a silence on the line, one of those loaded ones. The kind that makes you brace yourself. "She brought you up." I sighed. "That doesn't mean anything. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button." She said she misses who you used to be. That guy was a mess. She doesn't think so. I didn't respond. There was nothing to say. The friend kept talking, something about how maybe seeing me could help, maybe it could give her some clarity, maybe I could remind her of who she was before all the shit went down. Maybe. And I should have said no. I should have kept the distance I'd earned. But part of me, a quiet, reckless part, was curious. Not about her, really. About myself. I wanted to know if seeing her would still punch me in the chest the way it used to. If I'd flinch. If I'd feel anything at all. So I agreed. We met at some little coffee place. Not the kind you take someone to impress them. Just neutral ground. Safe. I got there first, took a seat near the window, and waited. When she walked in, I barely recognized her at first. She looked older. Not in a bad way, just more tired around the eyes. A little slimmer. Different hair. But the moment she smiled at me, I felt it. That weird, unwelcome warmth that creeps into your chest like nostalgia showing up uninvited. She sat across from me, and for a second, we just stared at each other. "Hi," she said. "Hi." It was awkward. And not the kind of awkward that fades after a few minutes. It clung to us like static. I wasn't sure whether to joke or stay serious, and she kept fidgeting with the sleeve of her sweater like she wanted to run but didn't know which direction to go. We made small talk. Life updates. She was doing photography now. Funny twist of fate. Said she'd started freelancing, shooting portraits, some weddings. She said she wasn't dating anyone. Said she hadn't in a while. I just nodded. She asked about me and I told her the truth, that I'd been working on myself, that things were simple these days, and that I liked it that way. She smiled at that. "You seem different," she said. I shrugged. "You do too." The lie tasted weird coming out. She didn't seem different. Not really. She just seemed quieter. But the energy was the same. Still charming, still evasive. Still saying the right things with the wrong undertones. But still, something pulled us back. We talked until the cafe closed. Walked out together. She said she didn't want to go home just yet. I offered to drive her somewhere. She said she didn't care where. And somehow, we ended up parked in front of my place. The silence in the car felt oddly familiar, like it used to be ours. And then, without warning, she leaned in and kissed me. I didn't stop her. I could sit here now and tell you it was weakness, or loneliness, or the weight of nostalgia. But the truth is, it just felt easy. The kind of easy that you only feel with someone who knows the shape of your hands, the rhythm of your breath, the way you move in the dark. We didn't have to learn each other. We just remembered. One thing led to another. That's how people say it when they don't want to say too much. But I'll say this much. It wasn't romantic. It wasn't passionate. It was quiet. hesitant. Like we were both looking for something that wasn't really there anymore, but pretending long enough might bring it back. She cried after. Not a lot. Just enough to remind me that she wasn't okay. I miss us, she whispered. I didn't respond. She looked up at me, eyes glassy. I hated how it ended. I hated how I made you feel. I think about it all the time. I nodded. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. That was it. I nodded. She poured her heart out and I sat there like a muted documentary narrator, watching the footage roll, feeling nothing clear enough to speak out loud. Because the truth was, as much as I appreciated her honesty, it didn't land the way she probably wanted it to. You know what it felt like. Like watching a rerun of a show that used to hurt you. Same scenes. Same dialogue. Just older actors. She still had the same way of talking in circles when she didn't want to answer a question. She still shifted blame with soft words. She still romanticized the parts of our relationship that nearly destroyed me. She still talked the same shit. She just had a new hairstyle. But I didn't say that. Of course I didn't. I let her speak. I let her believe I was listening in the way she needed me to. And I saw her again. And again. A few nights a week. Casually at first. Then not so casually. She'd come over. We'd talk. Watch something. Hook up. She'd cry sometimes, or ask how I was really doing, or say she wished we had been better for each other back then. And I kept letting her. Not because I wanted her back. But because it felt familiar. Because loneliness wears old clothes and sometimes you mistake it for comfort. I didn't crave her. I craved the feeling of being understood without having to explain myself. She knew me, or at least, she knew a version of me I no longer wanted to be. And I think that's what made it worse. She asked questions. Questions I wasn't ready to answer. And maybe she sensed that. Maybe she thought if she asked enough times, I'd finally break. Are we going to be something again? She asked one night, curled into me like she hadn't spent years wrapped in someone else's arms. I didn't answer right away. I just looked at her. At the girl who once cheated on me with a man twice our age. At the woman who was now mourning a different heartbreak, in a different chapter, but using the same sentences. I kissed her forehead. And I lied. I don't know yet. But I did know. I knew from the first moment I saw her walk into that cafe. I just wasn't ready to say it out loud. Not yet. She asked me the question again. When do you think you'll be ready? We were lying in my bed. It was late. The kind of late where you can't hear traffic outside anymore, just the occasional bark in the distance or the hum of a fridge that suddenly feels too loud. Her head was on my chest. I stared at the ceiling like it had answers. It didn't. I let the silence stretch. She tilted her chin up, half smiling, half pleading. Well, I didn't sigh, though I wanted to. I didn't say what I really wanted to say, which was, you're killing me with this question. Every single time. Instead, I gave her the same pre-packaged line I'd been recycling since the first time she asked. I told you. I'm just not ready yet. I got out of something not too long ago. I'm still trying to figure out what I want. It was a lie. A full-course lie with sides and dessert. I hadn't just gotten out of anything. I hadn't been in a relationship in over a year. And I was very much sure of what I wanted. Peace. Silence. Freedom. Time with my family. Space to work on myself without having to explain where I was or why I hadn't texted back. Room to breathe. I had finally found stillness in my life. I had built it from the ground up like a house of glass, carefully, intentionally. And here she was, a familiar wrecking ball I had foolishly invited inside. Again. We'd been seeing each other for about a month now, maybe a little more. Casual but not casual. Regular enough that it stopped feeling like a one-time thing. Frequent enough that it had rhythm. And every few nights, the pattern was the same. Hook up, laugh a little, talk a bit, then that question. When do you think we'll be together again? Or some variation. Do you think this could be something? Is this just sex to you? I just need to know where your head is. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. And every single time, it felt like being stuck on a road trip with a kid in the back seat asking, "Are we there yet?" Every 10 goddamn minutes. At first, it was almost endearing. A little annoying, sure, but understandable. She wanted clarity. We had history. I couldn't fault her for wanting to know where this was going. But the more she asked, the more I realized this wasn't curiosity. It was pressure. Repetition as persuasion. Like if she asked enough times, I'd finally say yes just to end the conversation. And maybe that's what happened. Because I didn't say no. I didn't say yes, either. I just delayed, deferred, evaded. And the more I did, the more she leaned in. I could feel her pushing, gently at first, then more insistently. Like someone tapping a cracked window just to see if it'll break. And it was breaking. I could feel it. The thing about guilt is that it doesn't show up all at once. It creeps. It seeps in through the cracks and settles behind your ribs. It doesn't scream, it whispers. And those whispers get louder every time you ignore them. At first, I told myself I was being kind. That I didn't want to hurt her. That I was sparing her feelings by giving her space to let go naturally. But that wasn't true either. The truth was, I was too much of a coward to say the one thing I needed to say. I don't want this. I didn't want to be back in a relationship with her. I didn't want to build something on top of a foundation that already collapsed years ago. I didn't want the responsibility of carrying her through another heartbreak when I had only just healed from the last one. I just didn't want to deal with the fallout. So I let it drag. I let her keep texting me sweet things. I let her keep calling me at night. I let her cry in my arms and reminisce about the us we could have been. And every time she did, I nodded along, half listening, half counting the seconds until she'd ask again. Are you ready yet? Sometimes I could feel the words forming before she even said them. The way her voice would soften, her eyes would search my face like she was reading tea leaves. And when I said, not yet, she'd sigh, a mix of disappointment and hope. Like she still believed it was coming, that I was almost ready. But I wasn't. Not even close. And the truth is, I wasn't busy. I wasn't confused. I wasn't overwhelmed. I was just good. For once. My mom and I were speaking regularly again. I was making progress at work. I had free time to do nothing, and I loved it. I was reading again, sleeping better, walking more, cooking my own meals. I was the version of myself I'd always wanted to become, steady, grounded, peaceful. And she didn't fit into that version. She belonged to an earlier draft of my life. A messier, angrier chapter. And even though she looked different, talked softer, wore new clothes, the energy hadn't changed. She still pulled me into emotional spaces I didn't want to occupy anymore. Still nudged me into conversations I thought I'd outgrown. Still made me feel like I was walking on eggshells wrapped in nostalgia. I wanted to want her. That's the cruel part. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. I wanted the simplicity of it. The way her hand still fit in mine. The way she remembered all my childhood stories. The way she said my name like it was something sacred. But I couldn't get past the noise in my head, the noise that told me this wasn't real. Not for me. So the guilt built. Each unanswered question. Each dodged conversation. Each time I kissed her just to shut her up. It all piled up in the back of my mind like unopened mail. And then came the night I snapped. It was raining, that soft, steady kind of rain that makes the world feel quieter than usual. We were in my car, parked outside her place. She didn't get out right away. Just sat there, fingers fiddling with the sleeves of her hoodie, looking out the window like she was waiting for something. She turned to me. "Can I ask you something?" I already knew what it was. I stared straight ahead, fingers gripping the steering wheel even though the car wasn't running. "Yeah," I said quietly. She exhaled. "Are you ready yet?" And for some reason that night, it hit different. Maybe it was the rain. Maybe it was the way she asked. Like she was tired too. Like this was her last ask. Or maybe it was me. Maybe I just reached the limit of how long I could keep lying without hating myself for it. I looked at her. Really looked at her. She looked smaller somehow. Not physically, just emotionally. Like she was shrinking every time I dodged the truth. And suddenly I felt disgusted with myself. Not because I didn't love her, but because I kept pretending I might. So I snapped. Not loud. Not dramatic. Just sharp. "You know what? No. I'm not ready. And I'm not going to be." She blinked, stunned. The way someone does when they're slapped with something they already knew but hoped wasn't true. She opened her mouth, but I cut her off. I didn't just get out of anything. I've been single for a long time. And I've been happy. I like my life. I like my peace. And I don't want to lose it. Not again. Silence. "I'm sorry I let this go on," I added. "I should have been honest sooner. I just didn't want to hurt you." The irony stung in my throat. She nodded. Slow. Robotic. "Okay," she said. Her voice cracked just a little. "I didn't mean to lead you on." "But you did," she said quietly. I didn't argue. She opened the door and stepped out, pulling her hoodie over her head as the rain started picking up. And just like that, she was gone. I sat there for a long time, watching the water slide down the windshield, wondering when exactly I'd lost the ability to tell the truth without breaking something. And the worst part? I wasn't even relieved. I just felt empty. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Because sometimes the truth doesn't set you free. It just shows you how long you've been caged. I thought it was goodbye forever then, but she returned. She couldn't let go, she said, like she hadn't let go years ago. I let her in, again. We were in my car again, parked in front of my place. It had been another long night. One of those nights where the silence between us felt heavier than anything either of us could say. She'd stayed over again, third time that week, and she'd spent most of it talking about us. About how things used to be. About how she wished she could go back and undo everything. And I had nodded, smiled a little, said, yeah, when I couldn't find real words. I don't know what she thought we were building. Some bridge back to each other, maybe. But I knew it wasn't real. I knew I didn't want it. Still, I kept letting it happen. Because it was easier. Because the weight of honesty felt like too much to lift all at once. But that night was different. She said it again. The question, are you ready now? Her voice was soft, hopeful, like she was trying not to startle the moment. And something in me just cracked. Not slowly, not gently. It split right down the middle, all at once. All the guilt. All the pretending. All the nights I'd kissed her with a mouth full of silence. I didn't pause. I didn't breathe. I looked at her and I said, word for word, no, I'm not ready. I was never going to be ready. You know why? Because this whole thing, was never real for me. She blinked. Confused. What do you mean? I mean, I said, voice flat, cold, detached in a way that still makes my skin crawl when I think about it. This was all an elaborate ploy. She frowned. What? Revenge, I said. For what you did to me. Back in high school. For the lying. The cheating. For making me feel like I was crazy for seeing what I saw. I waited. And then when I got the chance, I took it. I got you back in bed, got you back in your feelings. Made you believe there was still a shot, and now I'm done. That's it. She didn't scream. She didn't slap me. She didn't ask if I was serious. She just stopped moving. Like I'd unplugged her. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Her face went slack. Her shoulders dropped. Her hands slowly folded into her lap like she was tucking herself in. She didn't cry right away. It took a few seconds. I watched it build, like a tide she was trying to hold back but couldn't. Then it came. Quietly. Tears slid down her face with no sound. No gasping. No hiccups. Just this awful, silent sobbing. Her mouth trembled, her breath shaky, like she was trying to keep it inside but her body betrayed her. And I just sat there. Watching. I didn't reach out. I didn't apologize. I just stared ahead like if I didn't look at her, I wouldn't have to deal with what I'd just done. It didn't feel powerful. It didn't feel righteous. It felt disgusting. Eventually, I started the car. She didn't say a word. Just sat there, curled into herself, her fingers clenched so tightly in her lap I thought she might break the skin. We didn't talk on the drive to our mutual friend's place. The same one who reconnected us, thinking he was doing something good. I kept glancing at her from the corner of my eye, hoping she'd yell, curse me out, do something to release the pressure I felt building in my chest. But she never did. She was gone long before she opened the door. When we pulled up, she got out without saying goodbye. She didn't even look back. Just walked up the path in the rain, hoodie up, head down, her body language shrinking with every step. I sat there for a while after she went inside. I don't know why. Maybe I thought I'd feel relief. Maybe I thought I'd feel something other than what I did. But all I felt was sick. She blocked me later that night. On everything. No text. No follow-up. No, how could you? Just gone. I didn't reach out. Not because I didn't want to. But because what could I possibly say? Hey, sorry I emotionally detonated your heart just to avoid telling you I didn't love you anymore. There's no good follow-up to that. It's been years now. Since that night. Since her. I haven't seen her. Haven't heard anything. She moved cities, I think. Started over. And I stayed. Kept living. Kept trying to grow. Kept trying to be the kind of person who could look in the mirror without flinching. And in some ways I have. I've done a lot of work on myself since then. Therapy. Journaling. Honest conversations with people I trust. I faced the ugliest parts of me. The parts that used to hide behind sarcasm and silence and passive-aggressive smiles. The parts that fed off of validation and feared rejection like it was death. And here's the thing I've come to understand. I didn't actually plan revenge. Not really. I didn't map it out. I didn't wait in the shadows like some jilted villain, stroking a cat and plotting my return. I didn't re-enter her life with a mission. When we got back in touch, I really was open to seeing what might happen. But as soon as I felt her start to hope again, as soon as she let her guard down, something in me panicked. Not because I hated her. Not because I wanted to punish her. Because I didn't want her anymore. And I was too much of a coward to say it. I didn't have the spine to say, I've moved on. You're not the person I want anymore. We're not good together. So I lied. I lied and then I built a wall of cruelty around the truth so I wouldn't have to admit I was scared. Scared of being the bad guy. Scared of hurting her again. Scared of dealing with the fallout of walking away. Again. But this time with the power in my hands. So I told myself the lie. This was revenge. And then I told it to her. And it broke her. Don't forget to like and drop a comment. If this is your first time here, hit that subscribe button. Maybe she was still toxic. Maybe she hadn't grown. Maybe she still had the same habits, the same ways of twisting things, the same patterns that made our first relationship hell. But that night in my car, I was the one who broke her. I saw it happen. And I haven't forgiven myself since. People love revenge stories. They love the justice, the drama, the full circle moment. The one where the cheater gets cheated on. The liar gets exposed. The person who made you cry ends up sobbing into their pillow while you walk off into the sunset. But here's what no one tells you. Sometimes revenge doesn't feel good. Sometimes it doesn't land clean. Sometimes it's just a story you tell yourself to feel less like a villain and more like a victim who fought back. And sometimes the worst revenge isn't the one that makes the other person hurt. It's the one that makes you realize you're not who you thought you were. That you're not healed. That you're still capable of cruelty. That you were handed the opportunity to end things with grace, to leave someone better than you found them, and you chose to burn them instead. Maybe she deserved honesty. Maybe I deserved peace. But what we got was silence. And maybe the worst revenge is the kind that hurts both of you. Hey lovelies, thanks so much for sticking around till the end. If you felt something, learned something, or just enjoyed the story, don't forget to like, drop a comment, and hit that subscribe button.